Just learned the basics on HTML and CSS. What now? Well, start your first project on Frontend Mentor. In this video, you'll learn how to do just that, as well as how to set up your code editor. I'm going to be using VS Code, how to synchronize your files to GitHub, how to host your own website completely for free via Netlify, and of course, submitting the result of your project for review. First up, how to start a project on Frontend Mentor. Well, you obviously go to the website frontendmentor.io and you go and make an account. You can just log in with your GitHub account as well. Once you've logged in with an account, you go to challenges, which is this page. Now, there's a free version and there's a paid version. Since I'm just starting out, I'm going to use the free version. So we're going to filter by free and we're going to sort by easiest first. And the first project that we're going to complete is the order summary component. When we click on that, it opens up, and the whole point is to make a little card that when you click on, for example, I want an annual music plan, this order summary comes up with a title, some text, a card with the plan with a link to change it, as well as a button to proceed to the payment and cancel the order. It's got a background, it's got rounded corners, there's some shadows going on here. Text is centralized. This little box is going to be the most interesting part. And we're going to build that in our own little project. Since we're just using the free version, we get everything except the Figma design files because you need to unlock them with Pro access, which I don't have. In order to do this challenge, it's very simple. You click on Start the Challenge for free, and you're going to get files that you should download. So you download a folder, and we're going to get that folder set up right now. Okay, so once you've downloaded the files, you can just put them anywhere in a folder locally on your computer where you want to store them. We're going to sync these files to GitHub later. So if at the end of the project you don't want these files anymore locally on your computer, you can just delete them because they're going to be backed up to GitHub anyways. But right now, we haven't backed them up to GitHub at all. So if you delete something now, those files are gone, obviously. So I'm just going to open the folder here and let's have a look inside what we're going to get. We're going to get two folders, the design folder, which is going to house some pictures here for example, the desktop design here of what it's supposed to look like. We're going to get the image folder, which has the required images. For example, you have the illustration hero image here, which is this image at the top of the card. This is the hero image, and you get that, so you don't have to make up images yourself. They're in the folders. Then we're going to get an index.html file, a readme file, as well as a readme template. Since I've already completed the project, I've changed the template readme to the regular readme and modified it, but you're going to get two readme files, one with the explanation of what the project looks like, and one as a template for yourself to fill out after you've completed the project. Okay, the style folders here are not included. You have to make them yourself. You can either use anything you want. You can use SCSS, or you can use some sort of framework or something. Like, you can use whatever you want. But since this is just a basic tutorial for when you just learned HTML and CSS, you're not going to know any frameworks. I don't know any frameworks. You don't need to know any frameworks. Okay, so this is basically what's in the folder. Okay, so now that we've downloaded everything is in a folder. We know what's in this folder. We have to do something with it. Like, we can either right-click this, open it with Notepad++. Let me put that on the correct window here. Open it with Notepad++, and look, we can start changing the code right here. But this is very, very hard to read. So we don't want to change the. We're going to exit out of Notepad, and instead we're going to open up VS Code. Once you've downloaded and installed Visual Studio Code, you can just open it up and see. I've recently used this already, but in the top left of your screen, there's going to be the Explorer tab, which is where all your folders are located. Now you can clone a repository from GitHub. That means we're going to take the files that are hosted on GitHub and we're going to download them to the computer and we're going to open them up in VS Code. Now we don't have any files in GitHub yet, so we're going to open a folder locally. Once you have navigated to where your folder is located, you can just open the folder once and click on select folder. It's going to have your folder name at the bottom here. And once you do that, we're going to get a menu on the left. Now remember, you're not going to have any of the style files here. You're going to probably have the index and the readme, and that's about it. This is how to open it up, and as you can see, the code itself is much more readable when it's inside VS Code. So that's what I'm using. There's also a number of extensions you can use to make life easier. For example, there's an extension that colors the lines and the brackets over here. You can see it has this yellow color. If I go to more brackets, for example, in the SCSS file, there's purple brackets, there's blue brackets, there's yellow brackets. Okay, things get confusing if you're 17 brackets down into something. And right now I can always see what I'm editing with the code because of these colored lines here. Like, am I editing attribution that's inside? If I go after this bracket, I'm all of a sudden in the purple one. What's the purple one? Well, I got to scroll all the way button. I'm in the card. Okay, so these colors are really, really handy to have. That's an extension. Also, if you're going to be using style.scss, that does not work. You have to compile this to a regular CSS file, which is where an extension comes in. Now, where are all these extensions? These extensions are in the left bar over here at the bottom, extensions. When you click on that, you're going to get a list of installed extensions, recommended extensions, and you can just type in the search bar to look in the marketplace for extensions. Now, here are my extensions that I'm using, and they're really, really good. I'm going to open them up. And the first thing that you want is live server. A live server just basically makes your website go. If we click on index.html here, and we click on this button here, go live, when we click on that, we're going to get a live website. Now, what does that mean, a live website? Well, what that means is if we follow this over, now when you click this button, you're going to get a live website. And what this means is that it's going to host the website locally on your computer rather than you opening up the file index.html in your web browser. It's going to do it automatically in the background for you. And live means that if I make a change to this, for example, let's see, in the order summary, I'm going to change the title to changed the title. Now nothing's happening here when I refresh because it's not saved yet. But if I save this file now, I've saved the file, and all of a sudden I didn't have to go and press the refresh button. It was just done automatically for me. I remove this change the title again, save it, and boom, it's removed. I don't have to go and refresh it. It just happens automatically live for me, which is very cool. If you're done with that, you can just say close the server live, and then you don't have to deal with that anymore. Another great extension, since we're on the road of extensions, prettier code just automatically formats the code for you and makes it very readable. Live Sass compiler, absolutely necessary if you're going to use SCSS. There's this button right here. You click on it every time you save the SCSS file. It automatically translates it, compiles a CSS file which is readable by the browser. An SCSS file is not readable by the browser, so that's just, absolutely necessary. I have no idea how to do it otherwise. Then there is some support for IntelliSense, which makes typing code faster, like you type dot attribute and then the rest of the code just fills in. Same thing for example, title, it automatically fills it in. A formatting toggle, which goes hand in hand with the prettier. I click this button, and now any change I make to this while I save the file is going to stay the same. If I hit the formatting button, and I save it, then it's automatically, I cannot put spaces in here because as soon as I save, it formats it and it deletes the spaces. So if you don't want that, you can just disable it with a toggle, which is what that's for. Then I've got bracket pair colorization, which I already explained about. Colors the lines here. And auto rename tag, auto rename tag is, for example, there's always a beginning tag. Well, it's not always, but almost always. There's a beginning and an end tag, right? There's a title in the beginning of the title and then a slash title at the end. Now let's say I want to change this tag and it's no longer a title tag, it's something else. Well, then I have to change it in the front and in the back. So because this auto rename tag, if I change the front, it automatically renames the back as well, which just saves you a bunch of time. Absolutely handy to have these extensions. Other things to note as to how to set up the VSS code, you can have multiple windows open. So if you click in the top right corner of the screen on this button split editor, it's going to actually create 2 windows now. If you click on it again, it's going to create 3 windows, etc. But that just becomes, that doesn't work for me. But you can have 2 windows open. For example, on the left, I can have the HTML file open. And on the right, I can have the CSS open. So that I know, okay, wait a minute. This div with class text is planted inside another div with a class plan, which means if I go and change the class text here in the CSS file, it has to be inside of the brackets of the plan class. And do you have to go inside of the brackets, outside of the brackets? You can just clearly see that because it's on the left side is the HTML, so you know the exact structure of the page. Makes it easier to do that, especially if you have a larger monitor. I've got a 1440p monitor. So I'm going to close this one down. Okay, so since I've completed the order summary project, I'm going to create a new project, which is going to be number 2, how to sync with GitHub. I'm going to select that folder in the Visual Studio Code. I'm going to trust the folder here because, of course, I made it. And now we want to change the folder and all the files that are in this folder to GitHub, which is what we're going to do with source control. It says the folder currently open doesn't have a Git repository. You can initialize one right now, which will enable source control features powered by Git. Or you can directly publish this folder to a GitHub repository. Once published, you'll have access to source control. So I don't actually know what the difference is, but I'm going to click on publish to GitHub. And we're going to publish it as a private for now, because this is just a test. Select which files should be selected. Okay, all of the files. And it's going to upload it right now. And it's on GitHub. So we're going to open it up on GitHub. And this is now a private repository with your name from your account, slash the folder name. And the spaces will be filled with symbols. And so all that's in here is the files that you selected. Now, when we go to VS Code and we go to the files and we say, okay, I want a document type for my HTML with a title that is for YouTube and a body to display a paragraph of text saying this is my. You know what? Something you can do, lorem, and then say 50. Oops, that doesn't work. Lorem 50. Save it. Now remember, I've got automatic format going on, which is why it automatically saves it as a block of text and not just one giant line. Now I've have this, and you can see it says it's modified. It wasn't there before. So we go to source control. We've saved the file. I'm happy with the text and the changes I made. I click on commit, which is the little check mark all the way at the top. And then it's going to say, oh, wait, but you need a message to commit. Well, changed the title. Change the title and add a text. These changes are now committed. I want to sync them. And once they're synced, they're now online. We can go to the website and it says, let's refresh the website. 15 seconds ago, this was changed. 15 seconds ago. And if we click on this, we can actually see what the current state is. And now, how do we see what's changed? Well, when we go to code, there is this arrow button with 2 commits. When you click on that, you can see we've changed the title and added the text. And if we click on that, we can actually see before there was nothing. And so now we've added the basic HTML structure with a title and some text. So now we're going to learn how do we get the files that are already on GitHub. We're going to copy the link. How do we get the files that are already on GitHub? And how do we get them in the Studio Code here? With a completely empty Visual Studio Code, we're going to clone a repository. It's going to ask for a link. We're going to copy the link in. After we've clicked clone from URL, we're going to get a folder of where we want it. After we clicked on the clone from URL, we're going to have to choose a location where to store it. I'm going to select over here. Would you like to open the clone repository? Yes, please. I trust it. And now we're going to have the index file.html here, which we made. Let's make some changes to it and push it just to see what happens. Let's create a header below the text. We're going to save that. It noticed that we changed something with both the green line and the modified file. Source control, type in a message. Control enter to commit. On the main branch is what it says. On the master branch is what it says. So I'm going to say header. Control enter. Synchronize the changes, which means push one commit to the master branch. And there we go. It's pushed to the master branch. Let's go to the website, refresh the website. 17 seconds ago we did something, and in total we've made 3 commits. And now we get a version history, and when we click on this header thing, you're going to be able to see, okay, you've added a single new line here, a header. Okay, next up is the actual coding of the project itself. Index.html, and we can actually have a look at this now. We select index.html, and down at the bottom we click to run the live server, and boom, there we go. We now have a live server up and running of what exactly the HTML is. So it's just some text. So the basic text is here, but the title, for example, is all in the head. So we don't need to change the header here. We do need to link. So we're going to add link, and we're going to link the CSS called style.css. That's what we're going to link in here. Now, there is no style.css. That map doesn't exist yet. So we're going to make one, style.css. But I don't want CSS because that's just hard to type. I'm going to use SCSS. We can close this one down. And we're going to focus on the HTML for now. The first thing in the body that we're going to have to make is an H1. What is this whole page about? Order summary. Okay, oops, that's not what I wanted. order summary in an H1. Then we're going to get a paragraph of text. And this paragraph of text stops with the exclamation mark. That's going to be put in a paragraph of text. Let's save it. I've got prettier as an extension to format the code, along with, of course, the formatting activated set up so it automatically formats the code when I save it. So that's what's happening here, in case you don't know. Then we've got this thing is wrapped in an H2. So we're going to hit Control Shift P. I'm on Windows, by the way. Control Shift P, and this is going to bring up the commands. And I'm going to type in wrap. And it says wrap with abbreviation. Now wrap, meaning I'm going to put some text around what I've selected. And the thing I want to put around it is a H2 title. So I'm going to just press H2, press enter. And as you can see now, it automatically put the H2 tag around the annual plan. So this is all separate. This should all be separate. Okay. So this 999 is just some text that actually goes along with the annual plan here. So I'm going to put that in a paragraph for now. We'll see if we still want to do that later. This change, I'm going to wrap and Control Shift, and then the last command used was wrap, so I'll just hit enter to use the last command. This has to be in a link. Yep, this is a link. Proceed to payment is actually a button, so we're going to wrap it in a class button. That doesn't work. Well, anyways, it's a link as well, so Control Shift wrap a, and we're going to do the same thing with this one. Okay, this is going to link to nowhere for the moment here. Okay, this we're going to put in a button tag. There we go. Now we can select it, put it in there. Let's save everything for now. Let's go have a look at our site. How everything looks. Okay, so we have change link, proceed to payment button. That's actually a button. Cancel link, and then the footer where we have to fill in our name. Let's fill in our name. Where possible, I'm going to put a space just to make it more readable. All right, so the next thing we need to do is we've got the buttons, we've got the text, we've got the summary text, we've got a title, a plan, change button, proceed to payment, and cancel the order. So we've got everything we want. Of course, it doesn't look like anything we want at all. Also, there's a background, but we're going to do the background later. We're going to focus on the front. One thing we're missing, though, is this image. So I'm actually going to enter this in the body as one of the first things. So image, and we're going to source it from the image folder. And it's going to be the illustration.hero. Let's save that for now, and let's have a look. There we go. We've got our image. So we now have the image as well. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start looking at making the card separate, because I don't know what else needs to be in the body here, but we're going to create a div class. So everything now is wrapped in a div. And we're going to give that div.class. That doesn't work. So class equals card. Then the image itself, I'm going to also wrap that in a div. And that div is going to be also of a class of image. Wow, original. Okay, we're gonna put a space there, and then comes the order summary text. So we're gonna put that in a different class. Wrap it in a div. We're gonna class this one as main text. We're gonna class that as order, perhaps. Yep, order. Then we're gonna leave a space for readability. And then we're going to wrap the I'm seeing we forgot some. We forgot the music icon here. So we're gonna wrap this in a div as well. Class equals plan. I'm gonna input an image, images, music icon. We're not gonna put an alternate text. I mean, you don't need that for accessibility reasons. All right, so annual plan. Let's see. Got the amount of money per year. Oh, got a change button. Okay, great. Let's save and have a check how it looks. So we now have the button, but it's all separated out. We're gonna fix that later. Then after this comes the button. The button proceed to pay needs to be its own thing. So I'm gonna also give it a class. I don't know if you can, but I'm gonna give it class of button. I'm gonna put the link to cancel in a div as well because I want it on a new line. Class to cancel the order, and then the attribution class can be at the bottom, which is basically the footer, right? Now, what we need to do is we need to make sure that this text here doesn't go past the whole thing, okay? Which is why we're going to use CSS. By the way, we're going to first go to our style guide here, and we're going to go full screen for a second because the style guide is going to give us a whole bunch of information on which colors are going to be used. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a variable. In order to compile it to CSS files, I've actually got an extension called, let me have a look here, Live Sass Compiler. And in order to make the extension work, all you have to do is click this button over here, and it's watching my files right now. So if I'm going here and hit Control S to save, as you can see, it says change detected, style.scss generated the following two files. So I can close down this terminal because I don't need it. And let's go over to our folder view here. And as you can see, I now have the style.scss and the map of what it actually is supposed to mean. Okay, no CSS because I haven't actually done anything yet. These variables don't get transferred over to a CSS file. So now that we've set up that, we can save all of it. And it says success here because it successfully compiled the style.scss to CSS files. Now, in order to get the font styles, which we needed to get, in the style guide, it says you use Red Hat display. So what I did is I just followed the link and it says we need the weights 500, 700, and 900. Okay. So what I'm going to do is go to the website here and guess what we want to know? We want to get this is like 300. We want to get the 5, 7, and 900. So this is the 500. I want this style. I'm going to actually go full screen here. The 500, then the 700 bold, and then the 900 Okay, those are the ones I want. Okay, so it's actually pretty easy. You go to the website where the fonts are at, you click on Add Import, and you just copy the codes after you've selected which fonts you want. So this is what it's going to look like. Close that one down. We now have the font size set up. The font family is imported. We've set up all the colors. The only thing is the double design for mobile and desktop, um, the maximum width, but we're not going to play around with that right now. We're going to do that later. So for now, we do not actually need the style guide. All we need is, let's see if we can actually get this done the way I want it. Nope. Nope, 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 nope. No, it's not. Okay, it's not working the way I want it to work. Don't, doesn't matter, doesn't matter. So right now, we need to get that card. So let's see what we can do. We can, first of all, go to our site and press F12 to find out. Use the selector and hover over the image. And we find that the image is 450 by 220, which means the max, this one's longer than that one, so this is 450. So we're going to set the size of our cart to 450. Now, if you remember, we don't need the head tag. Oh, that's already closed. We need the card. So class card, which happens to be inside the body here. The dot card class, we're actually going to give that a max width of 450 pixels. Save that and refresh the page. And as you can see, the text here is actually wrapped to the next line because it has hit the maximum of the width here. Let's open up our inspector tool. And as we can see, this is the card now. This is the card now. And the card itself, everything in the card is now maximum 450 width. Okay, so that's great. Let's see what happens if we put text align center. But that's not the only thing we wanted. Inside the body, inside the card class, actually, there is another class. This class is called order. So dot order. In the order class, there is not really anything we want to do, but there's three classes: order, plan, button, and of course, save it all. All right. Inside the order button, which is just a bunch of text, I don't know if I want to do something, but I'm going to keep it there for now. In the div class of plan is the music icon, the text, how much it's going to cost, and the button to change. That should all be in one little card of its own. So we're going to have to write a lot, like a lot in plan here. One of the things I want to do is display grid autoflow column. And as you can see, every single thing is in its own column now. But I want to exclude one thing. And that's the link. Now, if we go and we press F12 and we go to the music plan, we can actually go into the layout, select grid. And if we hit this button, we see a grid of four items because we've automatically divided all the content under the plan category into its own column. But that's we're going to wrap this in a div uh, class text. Autoflow columns again. All right, there we go. Sounds a lot like it. So what I've done is, because I only wanted 3 columns and the annual plan and the text, according to the picture here, should be on the same line. So there should be in 1 column here. I'm going to align this text to the left, center the music icon, center the change button, and give it a little background with rounded corners. And that's supposed to look like it's very close. So the next thing we want to do is get rid of this link because I don't know what it does there. But display grid automatically display them in columns, and it's going to display the image, the div here, and the link in each their own column. Now what I want to play around with is inside the plan class there is a .text class, and inside the .text class there is an h2 class, and the h2 is what I want to play around with. Inside the h2 no inside the text class I want the text align to be left, and now it's in the left. Now I want the things to not be automatically spaced out so far, because as you can see there's a margin, right? So in the body I'm gonna go margin 0 pixels, padding 0 pixels. I'm gonna save everything, and I'm gonna see that there's still margin. Okay, as you can see there's still the yellow line, which if we go to the box model is a margin. We've got a margin of 16. If I increase that margin, everything goes down. If I lower that margin, it goes closer. Okay, so if I put that margin to 0, then I'm gonna have to also put the margin on the annual on the bottom to 0, and now they're close to each other. So how are we gonna do that? Well, we're gonna go to the h2. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. I literally want you to just write h2. Save this to format. In the h2, we're going to say margin bottom of 0 pixels, and I'm going to give the paragraph a margin of 0 pixels. And now they're stuck together, as you can see. Oops. Okay, now this whole box is as small as it can be, but wait a minute, that's not what we want. What we want is for there to be a little bit margin, right? The whole box here is about twice the total size of this icon. So we're going to hover over the icon. Is 48. So if the icon is 48, so what we're going to do is we're going to give the plan a height of 100 pixels, no matter what. Okay. And if we get rid of these, I'm just going to comment them out. Now, again, everything is now centered again, but that's not what I wanted. So we're going to have to change with this again. But this time, we're going to use the margin bottom and the margin top. And we're going to go with 10 pixels and 0 pixels. Now what does, or 10 and 10, what does that do? That actually doesn't do much, but it's a bit closer together now. Funny enough, I think it's better actually. Don't you? I think it's better. If we change this to 0, does that do anything? No. If we change this to 0, that does something. So we're going to put it on 10, and We don't need any more, right? We don't need any more. We're gonna put it on 5 even. Oh, no. Or 5. Perhaps that's even better, 5. Okay. But inside the plan box, there wasn't just text, there was an image as well. So the image is gonna get something as well. And let's see, how did I do that again? Justify content center. I'm sorry, item. So this box is clearly not moving here. So if we increase the margin, okay, that works. So we're going to use margin. And we're going to use margin auto to automatically put it in the center. Now, how does this look? This looks a bit closer than the right column, and that's because the maximum width of the plan class here has to be taken into account, and it's got to probably be 80% of the whole box. And then the grid itself has to be centered. So the grids, as you can see, the grids themselves are not centered with the div card. So that's the next thing I want to do. I want to center this whole grid here in the middle of the card. So let's figure out how to do that. I want to justify content center. That's not what it is. Probably giving it a margin of auto puts it in the center. There we go. Automatic margin in the center. That's more like it. And now after the image in the text class, we want to put the link in. So we're going to have to exit out the text class. I'm going to put in a link. And in this link, we're going to say margin auto. And it's going to go in the middle. But that's not the only thing we want. We want text. Wait a minute. Do we want text decoration? We want is the change has to be there, but the cancel order and the payment aren't underlined. We don't need to do text decorations on this one. The next thing we're going to go for is the button over here. That's this, the button. I want the button to be width of 80%. 80% of the card, that is. Okay, now it's the same size as that. Let's go check a look if that's true. That is true, but there is some margin in between the two. So we're gonna go with margin, auto. Let's see what that gives us. Nothing. Okay. Margin, how about 10 pixels top to bottom? Okay, that's something. Let's focus just on the top here. Nope, let's put it in 0 to the left and the right, or even auto. And 20 pixels top to bottom. That sounds about right. We want to have the border a radius of 20 pixels. That's way too much. 10 pixels. And the background color has to be one of our predefined values, I assume. And we're gonna go for dark blue. Oh, that's definitely not the color. There's like this purple color. So now we go at the top to find out what that is. Bright blue. Bright blue. Okay, looks like it, but the text is off. So we're gonna go with color, for the text. I don't know what color it is, but for now we're just gonna go white color. Wait a minute, why is the color white? Oh, that's because it's not. This is actually a link. And now the color works. And this link has to have a text decoration of none, right? Because this proceed to payment doesn't have that. We're gonna eyeball what color this is. Looks like it's just white. So we're gonna go with the pale blue. Dollar pale blue. Yep, that sounds about right. So right now we've got ourselves a card with a hero image, uh, a header, and some text automatically aligned. But as you can see, the text doesn't go to the width of 80%. So what I want to do is in the card, there is an order section, and I want to give this order section a width of 80%. Okay, and then I want to have the text align center. That doesn't work. Margin, auto, that does work. So automatically set the margins here. Thank you very much. The attribution has a margin top of, let's say, 20 pixels so that the footer is down. Okay, so right now it's starting to look a lot more like the image. Let's have a look. So we've got the image, got the order summary. You can now listen to millions of songs, audiobooks, podcasts, blah, blah, blah. This button needs to be a lot bigger and the cancel order doesn't need to be there. So in the link, there's a separate link, and we're going to give that link also a text decoration of none. Hold on a second, that's not the link in the button, that's the link. That's a dot cancel. And the cancel class is not in the button class. Oops. So the button class ends here, and then you have the cancel class, which is in the card. Cancel class is in the card, exactly, okay. So we're right. So if we're right, then why is there still a link? Oh, that's because I've already clicked on it. We want to have these. Oh, it's not just a can. Yes, it is. No, it's the link inside of the cancel class that we want. Yeah, there we go. The link inside of the cancel class. But we're gonna fix that in another way. Because that's not the only thing we want. We want the A active, A not just active. Uh, hmm. Okay, so the link and the link that's active, and it has a different. Hold on a second. It has a different font color, same as this, same as this. So now we're gonna do these three font colors here. I'm gonna go to the top, and I'm gonna guess it's the desaturated blue. So we're gonna go to color, desaturated blue, and we're gonna have to copy this in because we're gonna have to get it in the plan, and it's the paragraph text of the plan, which is this one. and it is the paragraph text of the order as well. So this one, and that one. Then we need to increase the button. So the dot button class, which is the button itself, we're going to give that a height. So a width and a height of, I don't know, 20 pixels. Oh, that's not good enough. 50 pixels to make it dramatic here. How much would that be? Let's go down. Ah, no. I want you, Jesus. Scale to width. And then move. Yeah, thank you. So, but is it now scaled? I highly doubt it. Oops. Automatically zoom. Is this 100%? This is 100%. So this file is now at 100%, but this is the mobile design. We want to go to the desktop design. So this is 100% on the desktop design. So it's a little bit smaller. It's a little bit smaller. So the 50 is probably 30. You know what? Let's go with 30 pixels. Let's go with that. Let's save them all. And then the next one that we're going to go for is the background here of the annual plan. So I've called that a plan class. So we're going to put a background in here. And it's going to be a color. And the color is going to be red. Okay, so that works. So this has a background, but I also want it to have a border with a radius of, let's say, 10 pixels. Let's say 20 pixels. Yeah, okay, 20 pixels. Let's take it a class. Yeah, 20 pixels. Okay. But of course, we don't want the border to be red. We want it to be desaturated blue. Ooh, that's not what we want it to be. Very pale blue. Very pale blue. There we go. Yep, that sounds more like it. The button is bigger though, so 30 pixels isn't gonna be enough. Let's go to 40 pixels. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere. Now we want, the fonts aren't correctly done yet. Of course, there's this challenge here, but first of all, it's not aligned in the center. So the whole cart isn't aligned in the center of the body. So margin, auto, does that work? That seems to work. Does that work if we scale it? Does that work if we make it smaller? So it does work. It puts it automatically in the center. Okay. So that works. Let's see, what's next? So we've put it in the center. Ah, I know something else that's worked. Margin for the top and the bottom. Let's put that at 20 pixels. All right, there we are. And then the whole card needs a border radius as well of 20 pixels. Then this hero image here, which is div class image that's in the card, which we haven't talked about, image class. That's going to have a border radius. Top. Does that work? Top? No. So we're gonna have to give it ourselves. Top left corner, 20 pixels. Top right corner, 20 pixels. Top bottom corner, 0. Top left corner. I'm sorry, bottom right and bottom left corner, both 0. It's not rounding it off. Why not? Inspector, image. Oh, the class image. No, I wanted you to do the image inside. No. The image inside. Yeah, okay, there we go. So that card is rounded. The bottom is rounded. Is there a shadow? There looks like there's a shadow underneath the button and underneath the card as well. So that's what we're gonna do next. Underneath the card is a shadow. So is that shadow, box shadow of 10 pixels, 0 pixels, 2 pixels, bright blue. Oh, that's for the whole card. That's 0, that's 1, and it's black. But it's not really black. It's more like a super soft gray. So all right, there's a very, very light shadow here on the card. And now we're going to do a shadow on the button. Uh, okay, so we've done the box shadow. I've done the cancel order. Ah, we've done the footer. Should the footer be in the card or not? Difficult to say. If we block this out, so one of the things that's left to do is to put the card lower than that on the screen. So we're going to give the body a max width of 40 pixels and a max height of whatever the picture is, says it's at 1056. Okay, now we're going to set the font family. We're going to copy this, save, and let's see, now we have for the entire body set the fonts correctly. The order summary here looks actually pretty good, except I'm not happy with the shadow here. This looks like a fucking neon light, so that's not good. We're gonna have to change that from proceed payment, and also this text looks like it's bold, as well as on the cancel order. They look heavier. So I'm gonna put proceed to payment and cancel order in bold text, as well as still tweak with the shadow. And the first thing I'm gonna do is the shadow here. And how we're going to tweak with that is by opening up this debugging tool in Firefox, clicking on this, and first of all, turn the shadow off, then turn the other shadow off, so we can play around with it. In the button is a link, and I want the font weight to be, I don't know, can we set it to 900? That looks good. Let's do the same thing for the cancel order. Okay, great. Now maybe that's a little bit over the top. Cancel order is over the top, so we're gonna put 700 because it's still more than, yep, sounds about right. Proceed to payment, cancel order. Change. This link also looks a little bit different. But you know, I'm gonna like it. I'm gonna leave it, I mean. So what is still left to do? Obviously the background image is still left to do. And uh, about the card itself, maybe a little bit more margin on the bottom here. So how about 20 pixels? Sounds good. 20 pixels, yep. There is a shadow here on this box. At least I think it's a shadow. Difficult to tell, but I'm assuming that's a shadow. Same, so this is definitely a shadow, right? This is definitely a shadow. Although I'm not convinced by the color. The shadows bug me. But other than that, we only have to do, I think, the background. Yeah, I think that's about it. The background and then this neon shadow. I'm gonna change the color of that. I've never had like desaturated blue. I'm just gonna pick that as a fucking color because I can't take it anymore. We're gonna put the desaturated blue on there because I don't like this. I'm gonna put the desaturated blue on there. Anyways, okay, so before we're gonna do the background, we're actually gonna push the GitHub. And so I've got GitHub, I've logged into GitHub. How are we gonna push the GitHub? Well, source control, publish to GitHub. The extension wants to sign in. Yes, you're allowed to sign in. Yes, you can continue. Yes, you're authorized. Yes, I allow you to redirect. Yes, I allow you to redirect. Choose the application via Studio Code. Open the link. Yes, you can open the link. And we're going to publish one.order summary to GitHub as a public repo. It's going to upload and push all the files. I'm going to click open on GitHub. I'm going to close all the other GitHub pages. And I now have the first order summary. I just uploaded it now, pushed it. And if I make a change, let's say background, image, URL, images, image on the background. Right now there's a green code here, and this green code says, well, you've added a line. One change compared to what's on GitHub. And that one change is you've added a background image. Okay, but right now I don't want to do a background image. I just want to save the project, go to my profile, repositories. I've only got one. This is the README file. That's not really anything. This is the order summary public. So frontend mentor order summary card. Okay, so after we pushed it to GitHub, um, let's do the background now. So let's set a background image, a URL. In the map images, there is a pattern background for the desktop. So, and as we can see in the image here, there's two backgrounds here. So we're gonna see this image. What does this do? Oof, that's absolutely not what we wanted. First of all, it cannot repeat. So we're going to background, repeat, uh, no, repeat. Okay, so that's number one. Cannot repeat. Number two, this card needs to have a Z index of, I don't know, 0, 1. Wow, I literally have no idea what's going on right now. Oops. Let's change it. Okay, so background looks pretty cool. It's got a different color. So let's see to which of the colors is that? Is that the pale blue? Might be the pale blue or might be the pale blue. Going for the pale blue. So background color is going to be the pale blue. All right, that does something. But the whole card needs to be white. So we're going to give the card a background as well. Background color white. Save it. Okay. So that now gives us a card, and the background is indeed behind the card. The reason why it wasn't behind before is the background was transparent. If I remove this line here, then this whole section here is just transparent material. And so that's why we can see the background colors and images. So if we give this a color, it's no longer transparent, and this is what it ends up looking like, a lot better. Now let's take this and let's scale it all the way down. And how does it scroll? It scrolls. Let's put it at maximum screen, and it stays up until this point. And the reason for that is I've got a 1440p monitor, and this has a maximum width of 1440p. And by the way, 1440p monitors, that is the shortest axis of the monitor, not the longest one. So that's why it goes much wider than 1440p. All right. So the background plays until we pull beyond. This is the 1440p. We pull beyond, and that's where the image stops. So that's why there's a max width set here. Maximum width 1440p. Kind of a weird, but whatever. And the max height, there's also a max height of 1056. I actually had that from the image over here, 1440p by 900. Let's, wait a minute, 900, 1056, oh, that's 1056 because there's a border around it. It's actually 900, oops. Thought it was a weird measurement. 900, let's change that. Okay, so now I've pushed everything initially to GitHub. And this is linked with GitHub, which is why you get to see these blue things. And these blue things means you changed something. You changed it from 1000 and then some to 900. You've also added something, which is the green things. Okay. Same thing here. You've added a background color that wasn't there before. So I can quickly see which lines I've changed and which I haven't. And if you can see in the files here, everything is now M, meaning modified. If I go to source control here, it says pending 3 changes. So I'm gonna say fixed background, and I'm gonna commit these changes. Okay, and I can hit sync, and now it syncs the changes to the GitHub website so that everybody that wants to pull the latest public release from me can pull it off the GitHub files. Yeah, I don't know. All right, so let's take a look at, for example, the mobile design. What happens on the mobile design? Well, it looks like the mobile design is just a lot smaller in width. Okay, because the mobile design button isn't as wide, and so therefore the text actually wraps sooner. But other than that, it's pretty much the same. The button's shorter, the text wraps faster because the width is lower. We're gonna add a media query, screen, and max. Let's quickly look it up online. Screen and max width is let's say 600 pixels and less. Well, when it's 600 pixels and less, I want the body to set a minimum width of 375 pixels. Let's check if it's 375 here. 375 for mobile. Okay. So the minimum width is 375. So if I move, it shouldn't go past that. But I do want the whole thing. I do want the whole thing to go. So what if we set the inside the body, there is a, let me quickly see. There is a card, of course, the card. And we're going to set the width of the card to 375 pixels. Okay, and I'm going to comment this line out. See what happens. Okay, so the card shrinks, but the image does not. So in the card, or is it in the let's quickly check the HTML file here. In the HTML file, there is a image here, and the image is part of the class. So it's in its own little div called class image illustration hero girl listening to music. Okay, so this has to be scaled down. I know this is a vector image SVG, which means it can be scaled to size, which is exactly what we need. I need to scale it to size. So we're going to go to style all the way at the bottom here. This SVG is in the class image, and then it's an image. So in the card, there's going to be a class image with an image. And that's where, by the way, we can also do that and that. And then type in to have the image have a width of 375 pixels as well. And let's see what happens. Boom, the SVG automatically scales. Perfect. Exactly what we wanted. So if it's bigger, oops, if it's bigger, look, boom, it pops. So immediately is bigger for a desktop to a maximum of 1440 pixels. Go beyond that, and it stays inside the 1440p window. If we go smaller than that, the background image automatically scales to cover the whole image, starting from the top left corner, which is why the wave spreads around in the back. And when you go small enough, whoops, it automatically scales down. Okay, sounds good. So this automatically scales. Oh, I love this. Absolutely love this. We have a, oh, we need to do the active states. All right, so next up, active states. But first, let's push our changes to GitHub. So what did we change? We made a responsive design. Commit the changes, sync them to GitHub. By the way, if you get errors when you try to sync, save your files first, because if you changed something and then you haven't saved your file locally and then you try to upload it, he's like, yeah, wait a minute, what are you trying to upload here? The file that you saved or the changes you made afterwards? I'm confused. Next thing that comes up is going to be the active states. We're going to go to active states. Perfect. That's the one I wanted. And the active states, if we hover over with our mouse across the change button, that underscore should be gone. So that's text decoration none, if I'm mistaken, unless that changed the color of the link. I'm going to have to look at that. The background of the button, the color changes. Thinking this is a hue shift. And cancel order becomes kind of bold. Now it's like a little bit faded out. I'm thinking it just changes color to black. Cancel order changes to black. The hue of the button shifts, the color shifts, and the underscore goes away. So since I'm at the bottom of the CSS file, I'm going to work my way from the bottom to the top. The first thing we come across is this link here in the cancel order. We're going to create a new one, a link. When we hover over it, and what do we want you to do when we hover over it? I want you to set the color of the text to black. Okay, let's test that out. I go, nope, that does not work. Wait a minute, what is that? When I hover over it, it becomes black. So that's number one, done. The next one up is the payment button. So when we go up from the payment button, so we're gonna have to make one dot button, but not anything. It's on hover command. I want you to filter. And how again? Filter the hue rotate 10 degrees. And let's see. Okay, so that changes color now. The question is, which color does it need to be? Well, it's not that bad, but it doesn't just change color. See, it also becomes like a little lighter. So how is that? Filter is that the opacity goes to 0.9. Oh, this comes close. Ooh, this comes close. By the way, the button looks bigger, so we're gonna increase the button. Where's the button? I'm still gonna go to 50 pixels. 50 pixels, yeah. But now the 10-degree hue shift is not, I'm gonna go, no, 15 degrees. 15 degrees hue shift. Okay. Hover over it, 15-degree hue shift and opacity change. And then when we hover over the link, the underscore is gone. So this link is the next one we're looking for. And that was in the plan. In the plan is the image, the text, and then the link. So that's this one. So hover. And what I want you to do when I hover over you, text decoration, set to none. Save this. Okay, there we go. Have the bold text, which is just black, I'm assuming, compared to this gray, which is now gray. I hover over it, it's black. Okay. Then the payment changes color. I'm doing a hue shift plus an opacity thing. At least I'm thinking it's an opacity thing. Feels like it. Feels more than just a color change. And then when you hover over the change link, the underline goes away. Okay. Let's save that. And we're going to commit that, and we're going to give that a name. And the name we're going to give that is active state. Commit the changes. Sync the changes to GitHub. By the way, everything is on one branch, a master branch. We're not going to mess with multiple branches here. That's for another project. So let's take a look at what we have in the view here. What we have is very simple. When you scale it down wider than 1440 pixels, it automatically stops the background because the image is only 1440p wide. So when we scale beyond that, nothing moves. However, when we come in closer, the card centers itself in the window with a fixed margin from the top, so it does not center itself vertically here. And when you get the window too small, the whole card itself becomes smaller. The image, the card, and the text wraps around. I must say the annual plan looks a bit big as a title though. The annual looks a bit big as a title. Let's compare that here. Yeah, this annual plan looks a lot smaller in height here. So what I'm going to do is change it to an H3. Now, you shouldn't do that. You should really just mess with the CSS style, but I don't want to. Oh, no, this completely fucked everything up. No, 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 no. Now the margins aren't great anymore. What happened? Oh, I see what happened. In the CSS, we've got an H2 here. We need to change that to the H3. And now, yeah, now we're back in business. Okay, great. So now the annual plan is a little smaller, and I'm thinking we did a pretty good job. Hover over it. The hover states work. The hover states work. Scaling of the browser works. If I can get it. Yes, I can. It automatically shrinks down and the hover effects are there. So we've got a card. We've got a responsive card. We've got active states on the card. And we've got positioning, images, colors, fonts. I'm thinking that this is the project here. And now we're going to save these files and we're going to upload them to Git, and we're going to put a message in there, and the message is fixed the plan title. Oops, and we're going to commit that, sync the changes to GitHub. By the way, you always have to give some sort of comment as to what you did. I'm going to close the VS Code because I'm happy here. And we're going to go to Frontend Mentor. All right, so I'm back. I quickly browsed over the complete guide to submitting solutions on Frontend Mentor. And the basics of it is that you need to give it a good title so that people know what it's about. You have to give a repository URL on GitHub. So let's quickly go there now. One order summary here. So that's not really the best name. So we're going to change the name here. We're going to go to settings. And we're going to name it first project. First. Oh, it's always with dashes in between. Can it go with like underscores? First project. First project order summary. Using grid. Okay, let's rename it and fixed plan title. So can we see a history now? I know you can. Insights. So as you can see, we've done 5 commits to the master branch. And here we can see them. Okay, pretty cool. But more importantly, we're going to close down the live server, which is already closed. Oops, that's not what we want. Okay, so I've quickly browsed over the complete guide to submitting solutions on Frontend Mentor. And the gist of it is you need to give it a good title so that people know what you're doing. Don't just say HTML and CSS solution because that tells you nothing if 26,000 people do that. So I've said first solution What have I said? I have said first project order summary using grid. That's what I've named it. Um, I'm gonna actually rename it to first project responsive order summary using grid, and I'm gonna rename that. Okay, so after you've got a great title, you have to have a repository on GitHub, which I already have. I just did that in the entire video. And then you have to have a live site URL using either GitHub Pages, Vercel, Netlify, or some other way. You need to have a website up and running where people can go onto the project and use it in their web browser and everything. So I'm gonna have to set that up. I'm gonna look into Netlify. So be specific in questions, and then you can submit your solution. So first things first, we're now gonna have to publish this live on the URL, and I'm gonna look into how to do that with Netlify. All right, so I just opened Netlify and set up an account. Just signed in using my GitHub account, and I have no idea how this works. We've got some notifications here. Okay, not important. User settings, upload images. Oh, why not? Let's upload my image. Same colors anyways. And here's what I want to do now. I want to go to a site, new site from Git, connect to a Git provider, GitHub. Yes, I want to authorize, allow them to redirect. It's now authorized. I only want you to do select repos. The first project, responsive order summary with grid. Read access to emails. What? You're gonna read my emails now? Install as if it's nothing. Allow. I don't know what just happened. Literally, I don't know what just happened. The whole window just closed. Pick a repository, site setting, and deploy. GitHub. Oh my God. Are we gonna have to go through the whole thing again? Oh, it was just authorized. Okay. So the first project, I want that on a website from 0 to hero. Well, we're closer to 0 than we are to hero, but whatever. I want the master branch to deploy, so you can even select the branch. That's pretty cool. Basic build settings. If you're using a static site generator or build tool, we'll need these settings to build your site. Deploy the site. Wizardly Williams. Really? Really? Can I not? Can I change that? Domain settings. Options. Edit the site name. Noviticus underscore. That doesn't work. Noviticus Titan. Order summary. Save. Noviticus Titan order summary. .netlify.app. Okay, that's pretty cool. Can we see that now? We can. Oof, that looks ugly. Really? That looks really, really ugly. That looks better. Does this automat? I've got a question. Did this go? No, it isn't. Okay. Okay. So I've got a website, and the website's up and running, and it looks terrible on larger sized monitors. By the way, did that background repeat? No, I set the background to no repeat. To this guide here. Although this field is optional, it's absolutely crucial to write something if you're looking to get feedback on your solution. Solutions with questions show up on the dashboard, and are so much easier to find than solutions without questions. Be as specific as possible. All right, so we're going to open the code back. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set that background color here. I'm going to copy the pale blue and I'm going to set it to red. Okay, and get rid of that. Save it. Playing with the background color. Playing with the background color. Wait, that's not true. Did that got watch SAS, save it, successfully saved, playing with background color. Sync the changes to Git. Oh my god, the background did update instantly. So I can actually just $, pale blue, save this. Uh, reverse to normal background. Why is only one changed? Didn't that like change? Is something red here? Sync the changes. Refresh the site. And the site's changed just like that. It automatically changed is if I change the code and push it to GitHub, GitHub then in turn, oops. Okay, so I've just submitted my order summary and Jabber Amit has just done the same 3 minutes ago. So instead of just being happy all the way through that we've done the code, this is the design, this is the solution. He's got the annual plan not in one line actually. His button looks very good though. And he set up a margin. And he put the footer outside the card. Let's have a look at what he did for his annual plan. Come on. Okay, view his code. Jesus. Style.css. And I want to find out what he has done. Border box. Set up values. Use display flex. Columns. Background color. He made it repeat. Interesting. He made it repeat along the x-axis. Very interesting. How does that look though? View the site. Wait. Uh-oh. He made it repeat along the x-axis. I'm gonna have to do that now too. You know what? Let's check out his live site here. An H4. He put it as an H4. No grids, no flex boxes. Let's have a look. We've got a price container with a flex item and header, text, change with margins and shit. I mean, well, this price container is just a nightmare. I mean, he centered the content with the padding of the box with a margin outside the box with a margin on the image but only on one side. And then this H4, why isn't that H4 longer? Like why does plan wrap around? I do not understand that at all. Like perhaps because of this margin here. Let's see, margin left. If we change that, see? Boom, and we're done. He put, and we're gonna go to margin left 95, 94, 93, 92, 91, boom, we're there. 4 pixels and the annual plan lines up perfectly like it's supposed to. So change that margin left to like 90 pixels. I like round numbers. The hover effect used to work. Hey, this hover effect is real good. Cancel order works. Does the shadow box hover with that? Like, hold on a second. Wow. Oh my God. Look at what happens when you zoom in. Whoops. All of a sudden the text disappears. What is going on here? Like the whole text disappears when I zoom in. Let's find out if I've got that too. So mine isn't centered because it's 1440p. But if I can zoom in as much as I want, okay? In fact, if I zoom in too much, the card wraps around the 3, so oh my goodness. We're gonna be updating that VS Code. Okay, uh, desktop code project, select the folder, and we're gonna be working on our style map.css. And we're gonna go with repeat in the X direction. We're gonna go with a live version. Okay, is this live or not? Shut up, close down, go live. Boom. Okay, this is live. So I want the footer outside the box. I'm gonna want the footer outside the box. Okay, that's number one. Then I want this. Okay, that works. Now I need you to center, but without a maximum. Perfect. Okay, so right now we're gonna learn how to update one of your solutions on Frontend Mentor. I've completed a challenge for the order summary here, and I'm gonna go to my account, my dashboard, which is where I am at right now, and I'm gonna click on one of my challenges, and I'm gonna, in the top right corner of the screen, hit Update Solution, and I can change the title here, the links to the repository and the site URL, as well as some feedback that you can update. And when you're done, you could just click Update Solution, and there you go. You've updated your solution on Frontend Mentor. If you've made it this far, thank you for watching the video, and I hope it's useful for you. See you in the next one.